everybody. This is Business of Design, and you're in the right place if you wanted to talk about the state of the industry and what's happening. The first thing I want to tell you is the sky is not falling. Everything is going to be fine. It really doesn't matter who merges with whom. We are going to stay on the path and create outstanding businesses that thrive based on systems and best practices. And yeah, we're going to have to step up a little and take responsibility for the things we've learned in the past few years. And for many of us, that means it's time to pivot, make a change, be bold, and step back on the path of owning your destiny. Last week's merger is not the first instance of industry disruption, nor is it the first instance of a platform-based business model having its hungry for cash underbelly revealed. In fact, businesses that subsist with a board of directors and/or venture capital must be profitable. The merger did call to mind a quote I heard from someone much smarter than me. Thank you, Bruce Philp of Heuristic Branding. It was actually a tweet from Blue Beetle, who turns out to be a human being named Andrew Lewis. And he wrote, "If you're not paying for it, you're not the customer, you're the product." That made so much sense to me. I mean, a business will monetize. It must. This podcast is free, or is it? Well, we hope you're going to love what you learn here, so you'll become a member of the Business of Design community. Now, I'm transparent about that because I want you to be comfortable with the equation. And this is my passion project. It's not my livelihood. I earn a living the same way you do as an interior design professional. But this is my passion project. So it's really easy for me to tell you that I will never sell your information. I don't care how big the money offering is. I understand how few resources you have who will honestly protect what you do and understand what it takes to make it in this business. But I think that's a pretty rare position. And again, it's a passion project, not my livelihood. It's possible, just possible, hear me, that we've been naive about the free platforms we've been using for some time. And it's possible that some of those free platforms value integrity and honesty more than others. So we've learned something. We've had our eyes opened. And it is my sincerest wish that our community will come together and realize that we've matured just a little bit because of this. It's time to recognize that you have to take ownership of the health and well-being of your business and your life. And there are no shortcuts. We know talent has something to do with it, of course, but beyond that, it always comes down to business fundamentals. And we are business people. We can learn these fundamentals just like anyone else. So I'm not going to do what I see happening out there in the big wide world, which is interview someone from House and someone from Ivy. They're very big companies with deep, deep pockets, and they're going to hire a marketing team and a PR team to do some damage control and get out their new and improved messaging. And you bet they're going to woo us again. Instead, I want us to hear from a couple of people in our own community, people that we may know from social media and online, and in this case, two people who have opposing viewpoints. The first is Laurie Laizure. Many of you know her from the ultra-secret by appointment only Facebook group she runs. She's wonderful and she's done so much for our community, and I'm thrilled to get her take on things. And the other one is interior design professional Cheryl Kees Clendenon. I think it's a really good exercise to listen to them both. And although you may side with one more than the other, that's fine. It's my hope that you'll listen respectfully to both of them and that this might spark in you the idea that you have some choices here. You're not a victim. You're a business owner and you've come to a crossroads and you may have to make some decisions, but you won't be alone no matter what you choose. The sky is not falling. We've seen disruption before. There's plenty of room for true professionals to earn a great living servicing clients. Lots and lots of clients don't want to do it themselves, don't want to settle for a cheap knockoff, are looking for the real thing, and that's you. Collaboration is the way we're going to move forward as a community. And that doesn't mean we all have to agree, but it means we need to be tolerant of one another's points of views, and we need to be open to the possibility that we still have more to learn. I'm excited about this episode, and I hope you are too.
Welcome to the Business of Design podcast with Kimberley Seldon. Brought to you by Business of Design, a coaching community for independent designers like you. We all know design matters. At Business of Design, we think designers matter too.
Before we launch in, we're going to do a little housekeeping. Hey, Cheryl, you should be with me here in Santa Monica. It's gorgeous and sunny today.
It's not so nice here in Toronto.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Surrounded by snow.
Well, snow could be nice too. But anyway, I think we need to get you out here at some point soon.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to join you down there in the fall.
Oh, for the Business of Design Elite Retreat. That was an awesome segue to a self-serving moment for us. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've been talking a long time about doing a retreat, so we've finally decided it's the Elite Retreat, and a lot of different components going into this, including a self-assessment that you will do before the retreat so we can target the learning. We are going to do some intensive learning like we always do. And then, Cheryl, we're going to also follow up after the retreat with some coaching. Let's tell everybody how that's going to work.
Yeah, we're already getting so many questions about this. So the trip itself is going to be October 18th to 21st. We're going to be doing lots of learning on the trip. And as Kimberly said, we're going to customize that for our attendees and get some information before we actually head out on the road with you guys. But one of the biggest things attending conferences and other retreats is you have all this learnings, and then the next week you're back at your desk working on projects. And we just want to make sure that this really helps you implement change into your business and growth. So following the conference, what we've decided to do is 3 months of group coaching just for those attendees who come with us on the retreat, our elite coaching group. So once a month, just for those attendees, we'll be doing private group coaching calls based on the learnings that they got from the retreat, holding each other accountable, hopefully building a small little network that they can hold each other accountable to really implement these changes into their business.
I'm excited about it, and I want you all to know that I have some goals for my own business at this retreat. You'll be meeting other experts and learning from people, not just myself. And we'll also, of course, we're in Palm Springs. I hope we mentioned that. We will be doing some modernism tours as well. So it'll be food for the soul, and as well as some great structured learning to help you create the very best business possible. Because at that point in October 2019, believe it or not, will be right around the corner. So our coaching will get us through 2018, and I guarantee you're going to start 2019 in the best position you've ever been in. So please reach out to us. Cheryl, how can they let us know that they're interested in the retreat?
Details are up on the site, businessofdesign.com. Click on events, and there'll be information there. You can get signed up, let us know that you're interested, and we'll get you all the details.
Okay, and pricing $24.99. We will recommend a hotel, but if you have a best friend who lives in Palm Springs or La Quinta or Palm Desert and you want to stay with them to save money, that's great. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys and having some serious sleepover fun. So thanks, Cheryl. You know what? Start looking into flights. You need to come to Santa Monica. You got to warm up.
I'll be there.
One new addition to Business of Design. We want our awesome members and listeners to have a greater voice in the podcast. So now you can add your thoughts, questions, comments, ideas to any topic by contacting us in one of two ways. You can send us an MP3 file via email, info@businessofdesign, Or we now have a dedicated Business of Design hotline. You can phone in and record your message. The number is 416-780-9187, extension 107. We'll make sure to put the phone number and instructions in our show notes as well as on our Facebook page. Whether you send us an MP3 file or phone in to record your follow-up comments or topic idea or question, make sure to include your name and location, and then keep your comments brief and clear. You may have a strong opinion about today's show, so let's hear from you. We'll air the best comments on an upcoming podcast. Now, back to the show. Laurie, thank you so much for taking time out of the day today to talk to us about this kind of timely issue that's going on.
Yes, no problem. Happy to share.
I've admired your courage in stating your truth on a variety of opinions, and certainly what's happened this last week with House and Ivy. Again, you were able to authentically stand in your space and not be too concerned that perhaps other people disagree with you. So I think it's important for you to have an opportunity to speak to the listeners and let them know that the sky isn't falling. And, you know, what's your take on everything that happened? And more importantly, how do we just all rise above this and move on and grow our businesses the way we want to and deserve to?
Right. Well, I think that, there are lots of times that this type of thing has happened, and not exactly, but this type of thing has happened, and designers are left questioning, what do I do? And they're panicking, and they're, especially, I have to feel for the designers who are on Ivy right now, trying to make a decision about what is best for their business, because they're in a position of should I do? Should I leave what I'm doing currently that might be working for me because it could be bad for me down the road? Or should I, stick this out and figure out if things are going to, where things are going to go? And, I really feel for them. And I think that there are a lot of shows, that are coming out. And I love that there's a lot of information for designers to mull over. But I think it's really important they, come back to their own business and think about what their business is benefiting from Ivy or from any project management software, and make a decision that's best for them, not in a place of fear. Mm-hmm. So, that means doing your research and, what do you like about Ivy? Is it available somewhere else? Thinking about long-term how this house thing is going to affect them, because right now it might seem like it's not, based on what House is saying, it might not be a big deal, but you have to also think about, what House has done to designers up until now. And, how, right. So do you trust them? Do you not?
It's like the bad boyfriend who's hurt you so many times. How many chances does he get? Oh, right, wait, baby, right. I love you. I'll never do it again. Really? Really?
To a certain extent, Ivy has done the same thing, because I know that they have, that they consider their Facebook group one of their assets, that they have, deleted comments that designers have said in there. They put people in to listen to what's going on without letting the designers know. There's a lot of a little creepiness going on from the Ivy front that wasn't totally on the up and up. And there was always a lot of creepiness going on with House that wasn't totally on the up and up. So, from a long-term standpoint, you have to think, is this going to help me or hurt me? That's for every designer to decide. They might have a business that, they don't think it will hurt them long-term, but they have to think about it. I mean, it's something that you have to make this decision for yourself. And you have to look at what House has done and from long term. And I can say that a lot of designers don't understand it 100%, but I will say, in the very beginning, House was, a resource for designers, and they wanted to be maybe like the Angie's List the article's long, I don't know, the Angie's List for design. So people could find a designer and, matches up people looking for design, people who want designers. Well, over time, and of course, this is the way it'd be, just like any other big site that has a lot of photography, they got more users that were, that lamp or that rug or the chandelier rather than they wanting full design services. So naturally, over time, they've got a lot of venture capital coming in. How do we make money on this? Mm-hmm. They went to what their users wanted, which was selling the product next to your pictures, because that's what the designers, what their user base wanted. They wanted to know where that lamp was, how to buy that lamp, or where you source that.
Right.
Furniture.
And that, by the way,
unfortunately, they're also,
that doesn't make them evil. That makes them a big business that pivoted to take advantage of what was happening for them. Right. So we agree that it's not that they're evil. I think their integrity is out of line completely. And that doesn't work for me personally. I don't want to deal with companies that don't have a really solid moral compass. But I do understand the need for big business, venture capital, to pivot and change directions. And at that point, it would have been awesome for them to let us know that this is the change. This is what's happening.
Right. Even more awesome would be if they had said, designers, your images are creating, a lot of buzz, and there's an opportunity to make revenue. We want to do that, but we want you, because it's based off of your image, to get some sort of percentage of this sale.
Right.
I mean, there could have been a way that they could have, if they cared about designers, pulled designers into that model.
Yeah.
So that if designers are making money off of this wouldn't even be a conversation.
This goes back to the title of the show, which is, if it's free, you are the product. So I think what's happening is we're all becoming mature. We sort of have been in the Wild West phase of the internet and the growth of the internet as a selling proposition, right? And now we're all having to become more mature, and it hurt a little, right? We skinned our knees, but there's no reason to throw your towel in and say, I give. Really, this is just an opportunity for you to go, hey, wait a minute. I actually am a business person, and as a business person, this particular model no longer works for me. So I'm going to own it. I'm going to own the fact that I was not aware of the terms of service. I'm going to take responsibility for that bad decision. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to go forward in a way that helps my business thrive, and in a way in which I can't be used like that.
Right. And it's an absolute learning curve. And I think that's for everyone involved. House may not understand how powerful the designers really are after this. Who knows? If the designers stop, adding their photographs and start really marketing their own websites more.
Thank you. There's no shortcut, really, is there? There's no shortcut. We all, they came forward and offered what seemed like a shortcut to marketing. And what we've learned is there is no shortcut to marketing. No one will market your business better than you. No one. And you turn over the power when you join a site like that. And they took advantage of it. And now we're all saying, wait a minute. The one thing I want to end with is really important. And I know you and I completely agree on this point. We, as a community, we have a lot of power, but it means we have to act as a community. So how do you suppose we really get everybody on board with taking our huge, huge buying power and business acumen and moving it away from something that hurts us toward something that's better for us? How do we tap into becoming a solid community that isn't polarized?
That's going to take a lot of time and work. We have our community with us, and we're going to keep sharing information and keep helping them counteract what they can do for, giving them tips and tricks about what they can do to market their own business in the best way for them. But it will take time. I mean, every day there's new designers coming on board that have no idea what they're getting themselves into,
Right.
and starting a new business. So we need to keep educating. And I love, we in our community, we have a lot of interior designers. We also have a lot of interior design coaches like you. So we can have the coaches come together and teach their followers, their base, what to do in the right way for designers. We can have ourselves do the same thing, and we can just keep educating designers about, it's okay to make, decision, but you have to make that decision knowing the facts. That's what I'm trying to get around. You don't make a decision on emotion. You're upset right now. You're thinking about, I've got to move, and you just jump at the first thing that comes at you. And believe me, I do believe that in these moments of chaos, there are a lot of people out there that will make a solution just for you so that you can jump to their thing.
Right.
Because, this is a time when, you've got a problem, I've got the answer, and I'll sell it to you.
Right.
But you need to think about your own business and what is actually what you want out of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it were me, and if it were my design business, I would absolutely limit what I do on House. If it were a brand new business, I probably wouldn't get on the House at all.
Right.
I would definitely get off of Ivy because I don't believe that their practices are in the designer's best interest.
Right.
And that's through historical things that have happened. House has given those Best of House awards. Every designer, so excited in the beginning, Best of House. But what really that was a widget, an image with a link embedded into it to House, saying that, you're putting that on your website. That means that, yes, your clients are seeing it, but on top of it, they are getting a vote of confidence as far as Google is concerned to increase their listing.
Right.
And their link, by the way, to you is not as a no-follow link. So you don't get that same boost of confidence from a link from them.
The power distribution is not equal.
Goes down.
You mentioned that I'm a coach, and that business of design is my passion project. My business is an interior designer, and I did what a lot of interior designers did. We jumped into House largely because my business of design community was saying, you should try it, you should try it. So we thought, okay, it's research, we're going to try it. And it was not beneficial to us in any way. And in my opinion, the most egregious affront that they have done involves the fact that if you try to remove your images and you remove your profile, it looks like you've gone out of business. So to me, that is the most egregious behavior. So we're on there because I don't want my clients to think I'm out of business. But that's a situation I think as a community we could get righted. If we, band together, we could make that right.
To stand.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's not right. And we should be taking a stand against that. There are people who love houses that say, well, everybody keeps your photographs. But the fact of the matter is Facebook may keep your photographs, but if you disconnect your account, you close your account with Facebook, you can come back to that account later and enable it again, and all your pictures are there. But in the time that you're disabled, people don't find you on Facebook. They don't see you on Facebook. It's like you're not there. House does not do the same. House keeps your photographs still there. So if you take down your image, if you take down your I want out of here, it just looks like you're out of business, but your photographs are still there.
Right.
And that's just not okay.
That's a hostage takeover situation, and that's not cool. But let's put the emphasis back on the designers, because we all walked into that pond willingly. We all go, that looks fun. Let's jump in. So now we're older, we're wiser. as a community, we do have power, but we do need to stand together. And the other thing is the sky is not falling. Your business will grow and your business will thrive regardless of your decision around the house and Ivy equation. Whatever you decide, you'll still be fine. But let's go forward and put the emphasis back on the hard work it takes to create foundations that help you run your business, because there never has been a shortcut to any of it. It was an illusion.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And thank you for your service in creating such an amazing dynamic community. We really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you very much too.
In the spirit of hearing the whole story, or at least a more positive spin on the choice to stay with House, you're now going to hear from designer Cheryl Kees, Clendenon. One of Cheryl's observations during our conversation is a critical part of this whole equation in my mind. She mentions those pesky little tags that House uses to peddle cheap goods to consumers, and rightly acknowledges that the client who's looking for a $99 bar stool is not her customer and never was going to be her customer. I wholeheartedly agree with that. However, I had stopped using House before the tags appeared, so I haven't given that a whole lot of thought. Something else Cheryl touches on is one of the most curious parts of the entire situation, and that's the extravagant purchase price of Ivy. Kind of makes you wonder if that wasn't the plan from day one, I think, huh? Well, time will tell. And again, at the end of this podcast, if you have a thought that wasn't acknowledged and you'd like to share it with the community, make sure you either send us an MP3 file or phone into the Business of Design hotline, and you'll find that information again online. Let's hear what Cheryl has to say. Cheryl, I was so happy you agreed to speak to us today. I know you've had a really busy week, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to talk about things. I can talk for hours. So, it's no problem with ever getting an opinion out of me. That's for sure.
Well, I was excited to hear from you because I know you have had really good success with House. And in fact, they have been a source of revenue generation for you. That wasn't my experience, but I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that for many of the listeners, they have had some good experiences. So maybe we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's hear your thoughts on the positive side of working with House that you've experienced, if you don't mind.
You bet. I think most people that know me, at least in some of the forums that we both belong in, know that I've been pretty outspoken about maximizing House for your own purposes if you choose to be a part of it. It's definitely a love-hate relationship. I do not like what they're doing. I don't really see what's in it for designers. If you're not getting any referrals out, quite frankly, I don't think there's anything in it for people that are not getting any leads or anything like that out of it. There's a lot of misinformation out there, though, and that's the problem. And I'm certainly no expert on it. I don't pretend to be. This last weekend has been busy for me, so I'm trying to keep up with what everybody else is talking about it and with Ivy and their relationship. But I can see that there's a lot of people that pipe in that really have misinformation about it in general. So I think it's important to make sure that the right information is out there. I think people also are just afraid to believe. They don't know what to believe, about anything. So all I can speak to is my own experience, and that's all I'm trying to do here. I will say that I have had good experience with it. I firmly believe that larger markets like your market are going to be more difficult, just like it is in a bricks and mortar store or any other type of trying to get visibility. Think about it. You've got, 5 million people in a market, that is going to be harder for all those designers that are in there. And I don't know what the percentages would be, but just think about it. So it's going to be a lot harder for people to get attention regardless, right?
So
I don't think that.
Can I just ask, you're in a smaller community and you think that's part of the reason you've been able to have some success with House?
Absolutely. Okay. I think that's why. I don't think it's because I'm all that as a designer or anything else. I think there's very distinct reasons. I have a marketing background prior to being in design. So I think there's certain things that I do that might be different than others. I'm going to be honest with you, when I when we've had these rants and raves about it, and I go back and I look at someone's profile, and I'm not saying every time this is true by any stroke, but once or twice or 3 or 4 times when I've looked at some profiles, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I wouldn't call you either, because you have terrible photographs on here. They're not professional. You're not putting good English together in terms of your verbiage on there. You probably don't have keywords or anything like that attached to your photos, and you're not presenting your best foot. So let's just be realistic now. If you are upset that your retail store, let's say, is not getting any traction or no one's coming in, but yet then the shelves are half full, or what you have is kind of dirty and you haven't cleaned the floors, and the dust is thick on your shelves and whatnot. Well, whose fault is that, So I'm not saying that if everybody does that, Kimberly, that it's going to be great for them, but I will say, okay, and anybody can do this. I mean, there's lots of people that have been very upset about House. Some of the profiles may be fantastic, but a few of the ones I've looked at just haven't had, they may be wonderful designers. That's not the issue. It's just that you're only as good as what you're putting out there, because it's a visual medium. So
again, it has to go back to taking responsibility for putting your best self forward at the end of the day, whether you're on House or whether you choose to not be on House. When it comes to marketing, you want to put your best foot forward.
Absolutely, whether it's your website or whatever it may be. But so I think that there's some misinformation out there on that too. I don't think people are always maximizing their profiles and that sort of thing. But truthfully, I think that logically, larger markets are going to be more difficult to get traction on any type of advertising. I think you're going to have to, you really have to stand out, because it's just a lot more people, a lot more really awesome designers in your market. In my market, that's not the case. I mean, there's only a handful of us. And I will say that my largest job I ever got from House was in New Jersey. So that sort of shoots that to, full of holes in a certain degree. But the majority of our leads are within 2 hours of my, either way.
Okay.
So
it's, and it's also possible, I guess, there are more concentrated consumer areas with House. Maybe certain areas are using House, the consumers I'm talking about. Maybe some areas have more consumers using House as well. So there's a lot of wild card factors we can't know.
Right, exactly. And I will say a lot of the profiles of the people that we do get, and we get a lot of crappy leads too, don't get me wrong. We sift through them, and, there's certain aspects, this whole profile thing where you say, it pops up and says, hey, do you want to, are you looking for something today? And people fill out this thing, and then it sends it to 4 different people in your area, 4 different paid pros in your area. And I hate that. I think it's awful. We've done it ourselves, to test it. It's terrible. And those leads are always bad. I mean, we might have gotten one that was okay, but the ones that contact me directly through my profile there generally are okay. I mean, some of them are too small for us. I mean, they don't really have a good idea of how big we are or what we do, the kind of work we do on there. So that tells me that I need to be a little more pointed on my marketing there. And so that's I learned from that. I take that as a learning opportunity myself. Other people don't look at it that way. They think that people should just know that they don't do, $30,000 kitchens or what have you. And I think that you're kind of responsible for making sure that your message is correct in any kind of advertising. So that's what I've taken away from that part of it. But the leads overall that we've gotten from the direct referrals have been really good. And I shouldn't say really, really good, but I mean, the biggest job I'm going to be doing that I'm working on in a community about an hour from here for a second home for a client from Atlanta is also from House. So I think part of the attraction too is I'm on the coast, and a lot of times people are moving here, or maybe it's a second home, or they're rehabbing a condo or whatnot. So I think maybe in my situation, it's maybe just a little perfect storm of things that have done well. I will say I know other people, and I won't name names, of course, but I know that there are plenty of people that have also had success that have mentioned it here and there, but then they get nervous to do it, because right now it's sort of a lynch mob mentality. And I want to speak to that, because I'm pretty strong-willed, and I don't really have too much of a problem if somebody wants to say something to me like that. But there has been talk, and some of these forums and some of the threads have been very, like, you're crappy design, you're a bad person if you follow, if you keep your profile on House, or if you speak out, in any way positive about any of their shenanigans or whatever. And I think that that's a very dangerous line for people to walk and is not appropriate, and that's the kind of thing, when I see a lot of that happening, I would get out of that particular group or forum, because I just don't think it's the right way to be. And right now it really feels a little lynchy to me in some areas.
It's interesting. We may be discovering that our small world of interior design is a microcosm for the larger world, because I certainly would say I see a lot of that in a larger scale going on, at least politically. So maybe it's just a really good reminder to be tolerant of each other's views and to accept the fact that for someone like what Cheryl's saying today, I believe you that you got good leads from House. And I think you probably believe me when I tell you we got no good leads from House, and it was a disaster. And even throwing money at it meant it didn't work for us. But that alone, the fact that I didn't get good leads from it, is not enough for me to say don't go to House. It just didn't work for us, but I'm perfectly content allowing others to use it if it works for them. And I think it was important to show the other side of things today. And the overarching message I want to get out to everybody is it's okay. It's all going to be okay. We have had disruptions in the industry before. There is no shortcut for owning responsibility around your own business in every category. That means financially, that means with marketing, that means with the systematic way you run projects. There's no shortcut. And so if you saw a platform like House as a shortcut to marketing, you've now had your eyes opened, and it may be time for you to make a change, whatever that change is.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that there is sort of an ownership you have to have on your own behalf to analyze what you're doing, and maybe people are a little too trusting sometimes with putting. We personally don't put any of our financials in the cloud. I have desktop QuickBooks, and that's what I use, and I'm not going to do anything other than that, because it's just I've been in business too long, and it's just what works for us. And I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm just very guarded over my personal information, such as that. And so I don't want to put that out there. I think that, and I think that's part of what people are realizing with some of this. Now, I got to say that I do not like the little tags. I do not like this. I do not like that. And then people say, oh, they tag all your stuff and they're selling off of your pictures and all that. Well, they are. But when you look at the pictures, and I just did this again on my own profile to make sure that I wasn't missing the boat or something. And, none of those pictures are any remotely like my photographs, not even remotely. I mean, and those aren't my clientele, the people that are going to buy the $99, bar stool or whatever. So it just doesn't threaten me. And I think that that's part of it. But do I like it? No. Do I think that it's a great thing that designers has put their pictures out there and they're not getting anything out of it? No, I don't think that's good at all. We have websites to show our portfolio. Do I think that they're getting some exposure? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, all I can speak to is my own success with it. People are so worried about 2,800 designers on Ivy that have all this information, and they're going to get their clients' information and all that. I understand why they're getting upset about it. I would be too if my information was in the cloud and being sold to somebody. But I just don't know if it's as nefarious as everyone thinks. Now, everyone will have this in an audio version and come back later and say, I told you so, Cheryl. But I just can't. Are they really buying this company just to put 2,800 designers out of business or something? I'm just not sure if that's, I don't know. I just don't think that that's the way that it really is going to go down. I don't know why they paid so much for it, though. It does seem like they paid a pretty penny for Ivy, and I'm not sure what the attraction is.
I suspect they have plans to further monetize it, and I suspect the moral compass is jumping all over the place. And but I think what I hear you saying is be smart. If it's a strategy that's working for your business, then continue using it. And if it isn't a strategy that's working for your business, then be really smart about how you take it down. And maybe the silver lining is just an opportunity for the design community to understand that we don't all have the same needs. And we're much stronger when we work together. But in order to work together, we have got to display some tolerance and some compassion for different points of view. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think you've handled that very well, and I certainly understand where you're coming from, and appreciate you taking time to talk to all of us. So
I really do enjoy these forums too. I think they're really great. There's a lot of really great people and so many good ideas, and I like to share. And I'm busy as all get out, and I'm sure other people are too. But I do think it's been a very friendly and productive part of social media to me.
Let's hope our community continues to do what it's best at, which is support one another in collaboration and in a spirit
Absolutely.
of being helpful to one another. And thank you so much for having the courage to come on and share your point of view. And I hope everybody listening, I'm not sure which side of the equation you fall on if you're listening, but I think it's important to understand that we have different needs as individuals, but an overarching benefit from working together. Let's put it that way. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Cheryl. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Mel. Thank you, Kimberly, for having me on.
At Business of Design, we know it takes more than hard work and talent to successfully run a professional design firm. There are proven business strategies that can solve your immediate business challenges and transform your life. Don't try to do this alone. Join today and you'll have access to more than 100 video courses, plus access to Kimberley Seldon as your mentor and guide. Unlike traditional coaching, which can take years to produce tangible results, BOD is a fast track to immediate results for independent interior designers, decorators, architects, stagers, and landscapers just like you. Monthly membership is only $67.50. Annual members save 2 months and have access to Kimberley's contracts. What are you waiting for? Together, we will achieve extraordinary results. Start today.